trying to stay in the zone of heavyweight.
Yeah, right?
Guys, don't do that shit in front of me.
Yeah.
Do it to the side.
Yeah, hey, it's a public gym, pal. All right?
I don't give a shit. That's fine. Just do it to the side, not in front of me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe you think you're going to be done right about now?
Bro, don't play that shit. We can take this shit right.
So anyways,
Did you guys want me to keep the weight on, or did you guys wait for this?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Can you take those off and put another 2 plates on there for us?
Absolutely, you got it. Whatever you guys need.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, hanging with my man Guy over here. He's ready to rock and roll. Podcast man.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about this podcast you got, man. This thing's blowing up.
Mealy in the mouth. So me and Nick tried, when he was with his old sponsor, we were going to do a podcast, but that kind of got put to bed because of other obligations that he was doing, so he wasn't allowed to. So, now that he's signed with HD Muscle, he kind of contacted me and he's like, hey man, we want to do that podcast. Like, let's start it up. So, we started it up, and Nick has been a very close friend of mine for a while. Born and raised in Jersey. Known him for a while.
I didn't know he was a Jersey boy.
Yeah, South Jersey.
No wonder I like him.
That's why we click so well.
Yeah, sure.
And what's cool about the podcast with me and Nick, people, from the bro chat community, which I still love, all those guys. But when I have a more intimate relationship with Nick. So when your relationship is different, he brings out a different side of himself on the podcast when we're talking, and I think people are getting to see a lot more about who Nick Walker is, one-on-one on Mutant in the Mouth, and it's growing, and we're having some really cool guests on, and I just did it because I like talking to my friends, and I'm retired, I got more time, so if I could get to know more about my friends, about their past, where they come from, their adversities, their hardships, bodybuilding, and then and we don't even really talk a lot about bodybuilding because there's so much more to bodybuilding than the stage in the gym. And
so talk to me about retirement. So you hung him up a couple years ago. Was it 3 years now?
2021 in August. So
So how is it, man? Is it weird? You're good? Like you're like, okay, that was a good time to call it a day, or?
So yeah, I mean it was Father Time. I tell everybody, there's anomalies like you got Kamal, you got Dexter's.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know about you, but once I was creeping up to 40, like 38, 39, you look in the mirror and your chest starts flattening out. Your shoulders don't have that roundness to them. And like I was having shoulder issues, and like I was telling you earlier, one of the people that I look up to the most as an athlete is Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
He was one of the best running backs of all time.
The only guy to get out on top, man.
And right? Yep. And I was never on top, but I did more than I had ever expected to. And
do you miss it? Like, do you ever miss actually competing, or like you're good? Like you're okay, man. I did my job. That's cool.
I'm good. I wish I would have went out a little differently, but I don't.
Earlier, you said?
No. I just I wish I went out more like on top, like a better finish.
That's how it's so hard to do.
I know.
Because here's the thing, right? Like you won the Action My Niagara show. You won.
Yeah, 2019.
Which was pretty cool. Let's just say like right there, right? You decide I'm going to call it a day. Well, you just won. You just qualified for the Olympia, right? And it's like
I would have called it a day at that Olympia which I actually.
Right.
The 2020 Olympia was so crazy because it was in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that I really wanted my last one to be. I would have called it quits if it was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that in 2021 I could win another show, bring it back to Vegas, and retire there. That was my real plan.
I could see it. Well, especially somebody you've been around long enough that the Vegas became synonymous with the Olympia for us, right?
That's what they always.
So that was like the filler Olympia, even though it went on and we're grateful for it and all that stuff. But you're right, it wasn't exactly the same and all that stuff. But you know what? You still got out reasonably healthy. I know you got some.
Oh yeah.
But it hasn't stopped your training. I mean, I'm watching you training here at at Destination Dallas. You're kicking ass like you got a show in 8 weeks.
Well, because I never, bodybuilding was just like a byproduct of working out. I love working out. Like I was always in the gym playing football.
Sure.
This is where my passion is. And I think that if people were more passionate about training rather than being so passionate about bodybuilding, I think the physiques would be better. Because I'm a bodybuilder because I love to train. I don't train because I love to be a bodybuilder.
Right.
So I think that term is very different. I think if people had that mindset, that their physiques would be a little better.
Well, I just ran into Clarita over here. He said, tell Guy to stay retired. He doesn't want no part of me.
He's true, because I just saw those fucking update videos, and he looks like
I'll tell you what, man, he is tremendous. Looking for number 3, and the only other guy, and maybe you can correct me on this, I know my history pretty well, but other than Jay Cutler coming back for an Olympia win, I don't remember any other athlete doing it.
No. And I'm going to tell you this, based on his pictures, I don't think anybody's going to be beating Sean for a while.
It's going to be a good one.
He's like the Ronnie Coleman of the 212.
I tell you what, and he's dabbled in the Open. He's done very well, obviously, even winning an Open show, truly beating some giants.
Yes.
Which was very cool.
Regan, Sergio.
But you know what? He's smart enough to know, man, go be the champ. Listen, could he compete in the Open and do reasonably well? Sure. I think Flex Lewis could have done that. I think a lot of guys could have done that. But at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather be the champ?
100%.
Like we get like these fools out there talking about getting rid of the 212. It's like, why in the hell do we get rid of the 212 when it's offered so much opportunity to guys like yourself?
You wouldn't know who I am.
And Flex and Jose Raymond, right? And you can go down the line. It's like, why wouldn't you want to be the champion? Right?
If you want to understand the 212, look at Jose Raymond. He turned pro, I think, 6 times, turned it down every time because he had nowhere to go.
No, what was he going to do?
Stretch and get taller, and it's
giving up 100 pounds on stage, bro.
And everybody's like, oh, well, you can't make classes for everybody. Well,
I don't know.
Well, we have figure,
we have
fitness, we have women's bodybuilding, we have women's physique. That's 4 classes.
And in the NPC, we have weight categories,
exactly.
Right? So we do have actually classes.
So how can you take 7, 8 classes and combine them into one and say, all right, you guys all fend for yourselves?
Listen, with the exception of the exception, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get one every here and there.
Sean,
again, somebody who can actually
flex.
And even in the old days, right? A Lee Priest, a Sean Ray, any of those guys, right? David Henry. Those are exceptions to the rules,
100%.
man. 99.9% of the other guys cannot sit there.
No.
Give up 100 pounds of muscle to the other guy. Listen, all we got to do, bro, is go to the Nationals or the USA. How many times has the lightweight guy ever won the overall? Right?
Never.
Even if he looks good.
Heavy, super heavy, sometimes light heavy.
Yeah, but every once in a while, light heavy, you sneak in there. But there's a huge, even if they look good, bro, how many times we sit in there in the audience, right? And you go, man, this guy looks pretty good. I can't wait to see me in the overall. And then when they come out in the overall, your head goes right to the right side of the stage, and you go, hey, he doesn't look that good anymore.
Everybody looks good standing by themselves.
Right? That's why we play the game.
Yeah. And I feel like that 212 division, like, if they didn't have it, the cream does rise to the top, and I believe that. However, how many bodybuilders would we have if it was only that way? There'd be like 10.
And how many careers wouldn't have flourished? I mean, you are the poster boy for me for the 212. I use you in many examples over the years as a guy who came in, got his pro card, right? Had a place to go, which was the 212.
Yep.
And made the complete utter most of it. Where
my God.
you won what, 6, 7 open shows?
Yeah.
You got the 6 Olympias, if I'm not mistaken. 7 Olympias. Yeah, I even lost track. Right, 7 and 7. But more importantly, you signed contracts.
Yeah.
You said supplement companies. You've been involved with the business, guest posing.
Started companies.
Started companies, right? All as a result of that. Let's just say you were a decent bodybuilder in the Open. I don't think any of those opportunities present themselves.
No, because now you're in the middle of the road.
Right.
With everybody else. You're just average.
Nah, like I said, bro, quintessential, absolute example of why this division will flourish and continue to grow.
Oh, I fight with them all. I fought with Ian about it, Lee Priest about it. Even being friends with them, I'm like, me and Ian got to do a screaming match on the podcast.
The bottom line is we're right and they're wrong. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So.
I mean, yeah, I'm right 99% of the time.
I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
Exactly.
Guy Cisternino, hey, man.
A pleasure.
I'll catch up with you on your podcast, and you catch up with you on my podcast.
2 weeks. Bob Ciccarello. I'm muting in the mouth. You're not going to want to miss it.